welcome back to 1300 Days Hardcore Minecraft. Oh, we have so much to get to today. Hey, remember that fishing village? Yeah, that one? Pretty rough. It needs renovation in a bad way, and we're gonna do that today. Also, yeah, there's this. Ugh, not very immersive, is it? Let's get to it right now.
We have a problem. This war the Fist is raging is far to the south.
Yes, Captain Watt told me of it.
Word just came back that there are refugees from Fist-friendly villages, and they're headed this way.
What? How do people even know of us from far away?
It seems that there is a rumor that, well, that our leader isn't exactly from around here.
I never thought to keep that a secret.
I didn't expect it to be a problem, but as you continue to build up New Hope, word is spreading that you can protect people.
What do they think I am, a wizard or something?
I've heard wizard, also military genius, mad scientist, voice of God, and more. Honestly, sir, those aren't even the crazy ones.
All right, we need to head this off. Start telling people I'm just from a city far off. Let's call it Tovelin. We'll tell them that I certainly have no magical powers, but New Hope will take in refugees as long as they're willing to pull their own weight. We have enough food to spare, especially if we start rationing now. I'll pull the Arcane Reception Coil workers off that duty and put them to building more houses as quickly as they can. Let's settle them in the new fishing village to the south. Perhaps they can help us crew our boats in time. Well, so if we have refugees headed towards New Hope, then it is time to get busy on these docks. They've been sort of a project that has been lingering over my head for some time, and I need to get working on it. First thing, before we start building houses, though, we need to make these docks look less terrible. Honestly, just by adding simple spruce supports to the stone wall, that helps already. I'm excited to do more, but next time to add spruce pillars the entire way down on the outer edge, the ocean edge of the dock, because otherwise it's just floating wood, and that's ridiculous. I know that I've made the joke in previous episodes about how much spruce I use, but honestly, it is crazy. I have chopped down so many 2x2 spruce trees, I cannot even believe it. But we are finally done with all the supports on both the stone wall and the ocean side. Now, I realize that I have my main storage room in New Hope, and then I also have a pretty big storage room under the mega build, but I need actually kind of another storage room here. If I'm going to be building more and more houses for all these incoming refugees, I need to have some place where I can go. So I built some chests, threw up some signs, and I have kind of a third storage room in this world. That big housing complex over there, it's the first winner by Andy Days of my build competition on the channel, and it's great, but it doesn't totally fit in this area because of the palette. I wonder if I replace some of the deep slate with some wood, maybe it would just kind of blend in a little bit better with this sort of fishing village area. I decided to go strip spruce logs because, you know, can't get enough of it, and I do think it helps a lot. I took out most of the deep slate, but not quite all. There's a little bit left, and I think I'm going to leave it there. Even though I'm just building this now, I do want the parts of the fishing village to look like they've been here for a little while because, you know, time is actually moving in this world, and maybe these people might not keep up their houses quite as much as the folks in New Hope. So I'm going to be using a lot of overgrowth, a lot of bone meal, a lot of leaves, all that kind of stuff, just simulate age on some of these houses. Another thing I think we can do to connect Andy's build, well, is to actually connect it. So I built a tower which could house several families, and then we're going to put an overland bridge kind of up to the second floor of his place, thinking that way, oh, maybe more families can live there. Because again, I'm just trying to wedge as many people into these houses as I possibly can. With the war coming, or refugees at the minimum, I don't really know if this place is going to need to be defensible or not. So I thought, well, even though we're going to stick with the wood theme where we have very little stone in this place, let's go ahead and give some potential archers a place to hide behind. So I went with kind of like almost a castle roof on top of this one. I think it looks nice and kind of changes up the theme, kind of sticks out a little bit, which is a good thing in this case. Okay, it's starting to come along. The tower helps a lot. I used some spruce, which is the first time I used that in this village, but the pathways in Andy's house might not be working for me. I might need to change those out to match the rest of the paths in the village. These look really cool for what they are. The problem is they just don't match. It just feels like a foreign build was just sort of plopped in here. So I'm going to take all these out and make them a combination of coarse dirt and path block, maybe some spruce sprinkled in because it matches, especially I'll need slabs as well. This is a huge difference. Just walking through it just feels way, way better. It feels like it really blends in the landscape, even though it is up a couple blocks, which, you know, that's just the nature of how it is. But yeah, it's starting to really fit. It really works for me now.
I look the other way. I don't see how it's got anything to do with me.
Now, I realize I'm supposed to be building tons of houses, and that has not necessarily happened yet, but I have some more landscaping that I really need to do. The backside of this village is just so blah. I mean, look at it. It's just Minecraft terrain, and I think I can make it a lot better, which also in turn will give me a lot more room to build houses. So I think it's actually custom cliff time right up against here. I grabbed a bunch of stone, a bunch of cobble, and I'm ready to go to town. After a good bit of terraforming, and this is just full blocks, I didn't go stairs, slabs, and the whole nine. This is just the basic, but it looks so much better. It kind of puts a border around where the village is, and things are looking up. Now just to add a couple smaller cliffs around, well, the smaller cliffs, and we should be good to go. I really had intended to keep some of these villager houses, sort of the pre-made villager houses, but honestly, I can't. It's not that they're hideous, though they are, it's just that they're in the wrong place. They're taking up so much land where I could fit 2 or even 3 houses in their space. So yeah, another one's got to go. And then while I was doing the cliffs, I thought, oh man, I need to terraform this land a little bit to make it usable. Now, spoiler alert, I never actually used this land in this episode, but going forward, I always could, whether it be for farms or future expansion. And finally, it's building time. The very first of the house I want to use spruce again to bring that into the palette, because this isn't that close to Andy's house, although it's kind of next door, but I want to build 3 houses within one, kind of row houses. Okay, this is coming along. I like the looks of this. Now I'm using the same roof designs I used in the other house in the village again to tie it all together. I think the middle one is going to have to be 2 stories. I have to do a little bit of crafting, but while I'm doing that, I want to talk about the last episode. I did a memory stone for my beloved pet, Sydney, who passed on, and I said, hey, if any of you have a pet who crossed the Rainbow Bridge, please, leave me a comment and tell me who. And I am overwhelmed by the amount of comments I got. Now, I'm doing my very best to keep up with it, but as this episode, all the gameplay is done and I am into editing, I'm still getting comments, so I'm doing my best to keep up. But yeah, I'll show you in just a minute. Now, seeing as how these houses are refugee houses, and I'm building them in a hurry, both in real life and also lore-wise, I'm going to have to cram as many families as I can in these houses. They just need, right now, roofs over their head and food to eat, right? So let's get as many as we can. So within these houses, though, granted, I won't be doing interiors, as I leave that up to my beautiful supporters to do the interiors themselves and then send them to me. We'll just pretend like maybe 2 or even 3 families can fit in all these houses until I have the ability to build more. But for right now, let's just get these people indoors. Lastly, I want to put fireplaces in all the houses for lighting and also just for some motion. If you look at the village, having that smoke rising is just absolutely essential because you want to see movement in your city, and fireplaces smoke is like the only movement that we have in Minecraft, really. So yeah, fireplaces on everything. I can't believe what a difference just the 2 houses that I've done. And yeah, they could probably house about 6 or 7 families, but still, it is an enormous difference, this little village. I had this small little patch behind the house and between the cliff where it's not really big enough for another house, but people would utilize all the space, especially near their houses. So yeah, small little wheat field, okay. If you're watching this and you're wondering who are these names, these are my gold tier, either Patreon or YouTube member supporters. They all get houses dedicated to them where if they build the interiors, send me pictures, I'll copy it onto the real world. Thank you all so much for your support. It means everything. Well, surprise, surprise, I'm taking on another house. I didn't mean to. I didn't intend this, and I know I'm supposed to be building more houses, not taking away housing, but it's facing the cliff. No one would build a house facing the cliff, and obviously the cliff was here before the house was geologically. So, yeah, the house has got to go. Sorry. Something I may have mentioned a time or 300, I love to walk under things in Minecraft. It makes huge differences. So I'm gonna connect over to Andy's house one more time by building a big, tall house here and putting a very tall bridge that you can walk under when you're entering this place. It'll kind of work as like an unofficial gate as well, a gate without doors. I built this house as a duplex in a way. It has kind of 2 entrances. I think one will just kind of go up to the 2nd floor and the other will just not. Now I'm not gonna do the interior, of course, but so we'll just pretend. But yeah, this again will house 2 more families and that is a good thing. So supporters, one of you decorate the bottom, one decorate the top. I added chimneys to all the new houses and a couple of the old houses too. Again, just making more movement. Also, the gray stone is really, really nice to mix up since I basically have no stone in these houses at all. Yeah, this place is coming together. I really like it. Now, thinking about palette and how to tie it all together, I decided to go with deep slate for this support and tried a different kind of support. Would this really hold the bridge? I have no idea. I have no idea if this will work or not, but I think it looks really cool. And again, it's something to walk under, which, you know, I love. This deep slate is so nice. You add some vines, the green makes the gray pop. It is just a perfect combination. I'm gonna add a little bit more greenery to the sides of some of these cliffs just to make them look like they've been there for a little while. And this place is coming together. What a nice entryway to this little village. Just like that, a couple more houses for my gold tier supporters. Love you guys, thank you. Now it's finally time to make good on something that I promised last episode. We are headed to the church. I made a bunch of chiseled stone bricks and drawn a whole bunch of signs, and it is time to put down a bunch of memory stones for our beloved pets. There are way too many comments for me to put one name per sign, so I just stuck them all over the place. So you're not gonna see it very likely because there's just too many, but trust me, if you comment before I edit this video, they're on there. I need to know how many refugees are headed towards us, and to that end, I have an idea. The thing is, these people are likely coming at us over land and not necessarily near the shore, so sending Captain Watt on another scouting mission might not help. When I was a kid, I read the great book Airborne by Kenneth Opel. Ever since then, the idea of boats held up by giant blimps has been intriguing to me, and I think we could build one here. I'll build it to fly over land, but land and water to load and unload. With some luck, we could pilot over the refugees and drop food and water to help them on their journey to us here. This will certainly be a huge project, and I better get started right now. Well, I suppose if I'm going to be building an airship, I better get to shearing wool. Oh man, I'm going to be here for a while. I can't even imagine how much wool I'm going to need for the size of airship that I have in my mind. Now, if you haven't guessed, the reason why I want to build an airship in this world is to hide the Guardian Farm. And yeah, it is a difficult task because this thing is shaped awkwardly, to say the least. But I grabbed my water bucket and a whole bunch of spruce, and I'm going to start building my ship first. Now, I want to build the shape of this a little bit differently than a normal boat because I'm thinking aerodynamics. So I'm thinking a little thinner from top to bottom in the front and a little thicker in the back. That way it should cut through the wind and the air a little bit better, maybe, but still also be able to land in water because this is not going to have wheels, right? So I think the shape works. Yeah, it's time to chop some more trees. But listen, I want to talk to you about a YouTuber who I watch nearly every single day. His name is Mental Fox, and he plays a variety of sort of long-term story-driven games. You know, I'm all about story. There are so many games that I would love to play, and I just can't. Like, I'd love to play Prey, and I'd love to play Fallout, and I'd love to play all these other games, and I just don't have time in my life. But I do have time grinding, like, for example, while I was cutting down these trees, where I'm just crushing Mental Fox's series. He's the most thorough human being I've ever seen play any game ever, and he checks out every single part of the story. Check it out. I promise you will love it. I do honestly feel like I say this every single time I do a big build, but I'm a little bit worried about the shape of this ship right now. It's out of my comfort zone. It's a little different than any of the other boats I've ever done, and I'm nervous. I'm nervous if I can pull it off. Yeah, I don't know. That's the shape. I mean, look, you've probably all seen the thumbnail, so let me know if it looks okay. After building the basic size of the ship, I'm kind of visualizing how big of a balloon I want, and the amount of wool that I have right now, about 30 stacks, is not close to how much I think I'm gonna need. So yeah, I'm just gonna shear a bunch now, trusting that I'm gonna need it. Then comes the challenging, the mind-numbingly boring challenging part of following, plots, that plots.uk site. I think we all know that, right? How to make an ellipse sort of shape. So yeah, I'm just following a grid, and I just have to count very, very carefully. Yeah, I've made a couple airships in Minecraft before, but this is going to be the biggest balloon I've made by far. Generally, once I finish them, I have looked at it and it's like, yeah, that balloon wouldn't hold that boat up. So this one, I got to go bigger. I got to go a lot bigger. I decided something that may or may not look silly once I'm done. I decided that I'm going to put the balloon back a good bit from the center of the ship. A couple reasons why. In the design that I kind of have in my mind, there's going to be some machinery in the back. Also, these people are going to give supplies to refugees. It is going to be very heavy at first until they can unload. Another 2 inventories worth of wool, and I'm starting to see some shape. I'm a little nervous about it. I hope it's right, because you cannot tell until it's done, and then once it's done in Survival Hardcore, well, that's just the shape that we're going to live with for the rest of our lives. Okay, the finished blimp is in. Now, it's big enough, it hides the farm, all that stuff is good. Yeah, there's a glass column that guardians are going to fall in and out of. Can't do anything about that. But, okay, I think it's going to be good. I do. I'm starting to believe in it a little bit. Now, the question is, how do you hold a giant blimp on? And obviously, there'd be a lot of ropes and chains and all that kind of stuff. So we're using fences, of course. It is Minecraft, after all, to simulate that. And I'll be bringing the fences up from this sort of wooden ring that I built around the bottom of it. And I'm going to take that all the way up to sort of a wooden ring that goes around the center, and then up to a ring that goes around the top. And hopefully that will look like it's enough supports to actually hold this entire blimp from just floating away into the sky and leaving the boat behind. It's funny, for as long as I've been an Epidemic subscriber, I've never searched for trumpet music. Well, that's kind of cool. All right, now it is officially day 75, and it is time to break away from this project just for a little bit. I do find if I work on a project for too long, I start to get stale. Not burn out, just stale. My ideas aren't as good. I was going to get some materials to build some more house, and I just took a look at the blimp, and yeah, you know, it does look pretty good. It looks a little back heavy, but I think that's going to be worked out soon. Now, because last episode actually ran to 1,210 days or 1,212 days or something, I don't have as much time this episode, so I am a little bit pressed. I want to build 3 more houses before I get back to the airship, and we got to make them pretty quickly here. So let's go diagonal, and straight. In an effort to fill out this area pretty quickly, I'm doing these houses very simply. Just walls, windows, doors, and roofs, and call it a day. We'll maybe spruce up with some vegetation, stuff like that later, but for right now, let's just rough them in quickly and move along. Of the 3 houses, one of them, roof, fits the mold of what we've been doing, but also I brought in spruce, again, to sort of make Andy's house blend in a little bit better, and the diagonal houses work really well. Again, they're very simple. Diagonal houses are actually kind of easier because you can't detail the roofs that much. I had to fly up to the big arcane reception coil to get some stuff out of storage, and let me just tell you, I cannot wait until the next episode from this world because I'm going all in on the arcane reception coil, or the ARC, as I've been calling it. I can't wait. I have such plans, but right now, we got to deal with the refugee crisis first. And just like that, 3 more gold tier houses. Again, thank you for your support. It is really starting to come together. This little village is turning into a thriving community. I built this entire airship and never considered how I would actually make it move. It needs to have power, but the people of this world haven't ever made power outside of a windmill. I have an idea. I believe I know enough about steam energy to show them how to use coal to actually produce steam instead of just cooking things. In fact, once I teach these people about steam power, this could, in a way, open up a revolution of technology for them. If we survive this coming war, that is. There's one detail I'm not sure how to handle, however. I do not want to give the Fist this technology. I'll need to keep it secret from now until we learn their true motivations. I'll have to choose carefully on who to crew our new airship. Well, I mentioned that I had an idea for the back of the ship. The heavy machinery is going on the back, and I need a propulsion device. So, here we go. Steam technology. Yeah, okay, I can do this. This took quite a while to get just the right shape on this sort of windmill fan situation that I wanted there. I didn't want it to be straight. I wanted it to be a nice slopey curve, and I think it works. I started filling in the fans with some wool, and then I realized that I had them blowing towards the back of the ship, but that's not the way they would be blowing. They would be blowing away from the ship because I'm moving forward, so yeah, I gotta redo it. All right, now we're talking. I kind of can't believe I got this first try, to be completely honest. I thought I would have to do a bunch, but I like it immediately. I just like the shape. I like the style, the whole bit. This is a total win for me as a builder. Now, I learned back in my Realm of Vastin days when we were building the steampunk city of Gravenwall that gears are great and a lot of gears are greater. So yeah, I'm going a lot of gears here. So I'm using this sort of the tiled deep slate to make as many gears as I can fit on every shaft I can find. Let me tell you what I don't have very much of. I don't have coal. Now, I do have some back at my main base, but that's a little bit of a flight away. I don't have, like, any coal in this area. I'm really considering doing, like, a mining episode. I don't know. Would you watch that? Would you watch, like, I mine for 100 days in Minecraft and here's what happened? I don't know. Now, the reason why I actually want coal is not for fuel. I want it to be laying around as if it's being shoveled in to fuel this thing. So I added some more gears, and I put side, like, vertical gears, and then I put a horizontal gear that should, like, turn each other. Yeah, I learned all of my gear technology from, what's that mod? Create? Yeah, everyone loves Create. I don't really love it that much. It's not my style. It's a great mod. Don't come at me, comments. After a little bit of a grind, I think I have everything set up here. So here's your coal, and you would shovel this in here, looking like blast furnace. That's going to heat the water that's up on top, which will flow into that thing, which will make steam. The steam will go up. It'll power that turbine that will spin the gear, and then the gear will spin the fan on the back. Yeah, okay. I mean, we have mastered pretend technology in a pretend world, right? Pretty cool. Now that I have, well, the mechanics of the airship figured out here, I do want to do a little bit more sort of cosmetically here. And one of the things I want to do is I want to add some trim. Now, I picked the deep slate stone brick. I have a little bit of buyer's remorse about this because the stone brick doesn't fit in quite as well, but it just looks so good and the color's so good that I decided to use it. I think once you see it all together, it's going to work. Now, I do want to give full credit to Sjin because I definitely was very inspired by his beautiful airship that he did just very recently on YouTube. And one of the brilliant things that he came up with were the fins that he put up on the top and on the bottom of the balloon. It makes it look so cool. And yeah, I don't love working up this high. I mean, I don't mind falling because I have an electric and I'm over water, but just the water bucketing thing is so tedious and awful. It's just so slow. But finally, I got the fins done, and they look really, really cool. Again, first shot at these, and I think the shape works really well. All right, now it's pretty good, but I think I can go a little bit further. And what I want to do is I want to add sort of wings. Now, these aren't to really fly. I would say they're more probably to steer or aid a little bit with loft, but the wings are going to look really cool. Okay, I got that done, and they look pretty good. Now, the only thing that I'm thinking at this point right now, the ship itself is very, very boring. It's just a block of spruce. I think I can do something about that. And yeah, I'm totally out of deep slate, which brings us to our famous segment, Deep Slate Mining Quiz Show. I'll put the question up on the screen, and you have 10 seconds to pick the right answer before I'm done mining deep slate. The answer is Sing. Florida. Making great legal decisions since never, I guess. After getting a ton of deep slate, I decided to go down to the bottom of my airship and just start building some sort of reinforcement things that are going to help hold the boat up because I don't want the boat to like fall apart. So I figure I should have some pretty sturdy reinforcements just to keep it kind of together while it's flying through the air. This song always reminds me of the old Final Fantasy from way back when I was a kid. Yeah, the airship's done, and I think it's looking pretty darn sweet. Now, the airship in itself is done, but I would need to decorate the top. I really want to go all in on this. This is a big focal point. Also, it's my Guardian Farm, so I'm going to be up here a lot. It's not like an interior of a house that I'll just walk by all the time. I need to get some more coal because I want to have more coal laying out for yet another part of this build. Now, this is a hot air balloon, not a helium balloon, right? So, hot air balloon requires hot air. So I brought some campfires, and this is what I need the coal for because I'm going to make an area here where people can sort of fuel these fires to make hot air that's going to go up in the blimp to let it raise or lower. Good bit of grind later, and I have this, is it a flume? Would that be what it is? Like the smoke, the hot air part that goes up in the balloon. I think it's done. I think it looks pretty good. Add something interesting to this thing, a little steampunky too, and that's cool too. I do want to make this a little bit functional, so I brought over 3 blast furnaces, and I'm just going to put them right here. This would be the idea of this is what you're going to put your coal into that's going to heat up the air. It should work, and then pile a whole bunch of coal all around here that's just waiting to be shoveled in. Now, I have 6 days left. I've been working on texturing a little bit, trying to put down some stripped logs in the bottom. I want to get rid of all this torch spam somehow. That may prove to be a little bit of a difficult thing because this is a very wide open section. I'm going to need to sort of divide it off in order to put lanterns or torches on something. But I can't forget the lore reason for this airship even existing, and that is to help refugees. We're going to fly this ship over the caravan of people and drop food down to them. So I have a couple ideas on how we can sort of pull that narrative off. All right, go with me here, right? I got some chains, I got some wool to act as sort of like parachutes or balloons. And the idea is that they'll stay on the ground because they're not going to be like float up in the air. They're just going to slow down the descent. And I think it kind of works. So I would just have crew on top of this airship that's just dropping these off to the people as that we see them. But wait, that's not all. I actually went down underneath and I'm going to use chains and lanterns to light up this entire underpart as well. Again, this is where I'm going to be standing whenever I'm killing the Guardian. So I want it to look nice because, you know, again, it's not just the interior of a house. This is actually a functional build. So I put a whole ton of wheat in there and I'm just putting lanterns all over the place to keep the mobs from spawning. I added in some windows, and I think this thing it's just awesome. I mean, it's just awesome. It's an awesome, fun build. There's some more details that I could add down the road a little bit, but I think we are in a really good place. Everything looks functional as far as the machinery and all that kind of stuff goes. There's a bunch of storage, a bunch of balloons there, tons of wheat being waited to be passed out. It is a Guardian farm after all. All the machines look right. Yeah, shit. I mean, yeah, man. I like this build a ton. Now, I have about 2 days left, and I'm going to spend that time prettying up this little village some. I plan on giving out a world download, as I always do, to all of my supporters at any level. Just make sure you join my Discord. YouTube members, in my Discord, there is a way to link it. If you have not linked your YouTube and your Discord together, I have a message there for you. I spent some time roughing up some of these houses with some terracotta just to make them fit in with sort of the first house I built in this area, and it looks really, really good. I kind of wish I had a terracotta overlay like I do in the old Realm of Aston pack, and I don't know, it moves away from vanilla a good bit. Maybe not, but it would be really cool for this area at least. And that does it. 1,300 days completed in this hardcore world. I never thought I would even make it 100, let alone this far. It's amazing. I love this world. I love what we're doing. And I love the storyline. Man, wait until you see where it's going next. I already have the next episode scripted and ready to go. But for me, I'm done with this world for a minute because I'm going back to Dominion for the next video. I'll see you then.